would be to introduce an ordinance to put a opt-out on all 6 classifications of cannabis businesses that are now approved for the state of New Jersey. Municipalities have until August 21st, 2021 to opt out. If you do not, or you can opt out in any or all of the classifications. If you do not, you enter into a 5-year moratorium where you cannot opt out. The rules and regulations of how these businesses will operate are not established. I think every municipality that surrounds Readington has opted out. I know that Branchburg has, Raritan Township, Clinton Township, Town of Clinton, Tewksbury. We just spoke about Bedminster. Readington, of course, has one current large cannabis business within its borders. So this would be an introductory ordinance to opt out of those 6 classifications of cannabis licensed businesses. Any comments from the committee?
Sharon, would the wording of this ordinance be strong enough to prevent the existing Verona from expanding into one of the other services like distribution or retail?
That's right now. Yes, because there's 2 ordinances here, and the reason that we did it this way is that the first ordinance, which is this one, would be under our licensing provisions, and then the second one is establishing the prohibition of these classes as uses. So if you didn't do ordinance number 1, anyone could, even though the ordinance would prohibit these classes of uses, they could still go to the Board of Adjustment and request a variance. So that's why you would go both options here.
Thank you, Sharon.
Is this a recommendation of the planning board, or is this a recommendation from you, John?
It is a recommendation from the planning board, and I don't see how municipality, no matter how you feel about this now legal business, can effectively and logically allow for any of these businesses without knowing the rules of the road. We can going forward, if we opt out now, we can opt back in at any time for all 1 or 6 of these businesses that the municipality, the governing body, may in the future be okay with. But if you do nothing, then you're in for 5 years.
And if we decide we want any of this, we could zone for it. As it is now, we have no control, very little control over the zoning. We have a business district, they could set up shop. We have a lot of agricultural districts they can grow, so.
Couldn't you say what districts you want?
At some point, you may. At some point, you may wish to choose the number of businesses that you have, like you do with alcohol licenses, and that's what the first ordinance is about. Because right now there would be no limit at all, but supposing you only want to have 1 recreational establishment or a wholesaler or something like that, you can come back and do that or whatever. And then the other is the use classifications under land use.
I think alcohol is a poor consumption. I think we'd approve a lot more licenses the state let us. It's really state regulated.
Well, you'll have that ability to do that.
For alcohol licenses?
No, for
population based
cannabis.
prohibition laws. No, but you compare it to alcohol, and alcohol was state.
What I'm saying is that there is a licensing provision, and there's a licensing provision for recreational marijuana too, right? You have to apply for a license from the state. So it's kind of similar.
I have mixed feelings on this myself, but I do feel that until it's clearly defined by state regulations and what's allowed and what's not allowed, I mean, we've had a number of companies inquire already about additional facilities, and we have no restrictions, no zoning, no method of controlling it. And I really think that our initial reaction should be to opt out, and then once it's clear what is going to happen and what the rules and regulations are going to be, and then we can consider with a better education, better knowledge of what the process would be, whether we want to opt back in and at what level we want to opt back in.
I think the way to go about that is to set up a subcommittee to study, to monitor when the rules and regulations come down via our professionals, to understand and be in communication with other municipalities that are allowing these types of businesses within their borders, and then to report back to the governing body with recommendations, information, etc. And I think that something like that is needs to be outside the normal scope of our subcommittees, which or the makeup of our subcommittees, which is often volunteers. I think we need to include some professionals, not only within the township, but maybe somebody from the police department, somebody from the Board of Education, so we have a holistic look into what all the concerns and issues are, pro and con, so a future governing body can make an informed decision.
I think we've seen some of our growing pains with the current business, and I think we just need to evaluate a little more closely before we proceed any further down this path.
Yeah, especially considering that they are not fully open. They are not operating at full capacity, so we do not have a good track record with them, or any track record really, to understand how it's going to look when it's fully operational.
Just to piggyback off of what you gentlemen are saying already, is that we've had a number of residents already call in inquiring about potentially changing their agricultural use to some sort of cannabis facility, whether it be hemp or whatnot. So under the current land use situation, you know what I mean, we cannot stop them if they want to change their agricultural use to some sort of cannabis type or hemp type facility. So it would just be something to consider going forward, of whether or not that we are going to allow a farmer or whatnot to switch over.